Hey, what's up, Angels fans, and welcome back to Angels Latest, the show where we talk about Halos baseball the same way we do with our buddies. We're a little hopeful, a little frustrated, but we're always locked in and always believing there's a brighter day ahead at the Big A. I'm Anthony, and we've got another packed off-season episode show today. Now, listen, before we get started and talk about our free agency wish list, I've got something big to mention because the Angels, they're already making moves. That's right. Yes, they have officially made a significant trade, and we're going to take it and talk about it later down in the show. So stick around because that piece of amazing news could be the start of a very different kind of offseason for us Halos fans. But first, let's continue our free agent Christmas list. Yeah, the tree hasn't been put up at my house yet, but it's getting ready, and be nice to see some of those presents underneath the tree having some of these players that we've mentioned already. We've covered position players, we've covered starters, and we've covered the luxury tax. Hopefully that helped out as well in explaining things out as far as potential strategy for the Angels. And today we're looking at two more names. Yes, that the Angels fans would love to see under the tree. Two pitchers who both have won Cy Young awards. Two pitchers who could reshape this rotation from day one. So let's jump right into it. All right, let's kick off with one of the biggest names on the free agent market. A pitcher who isn't just a nice to have on the roster kind of guy, not a mid-rotation guy. He's not even a bounce back gamble. And I'm talking about Corbin Burnes, a legit number one ace, one of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball over the last half decade. So just to give you a little bit about Corbin Burnes, he's a three-time All-Star, 2021 National Cy Young Award winner, strikeout artist, pitch design monster, one of the smartest and most analytically advanced pitchers in the game. He was born October 22nd, 1994. He's only 30 years old heading into this 2026 season. He was drafted by the Brew Crew in 2016 and developed into a Cy Young winner. He was then traded to the Orioles where he continued his dominance, and Burnes isn't a one-year wonder. He's been elite for 5 straight seasons. Career highlights and awards for this young man: a 2021 NL Cy Young Award winner, 3-time MLB All-Star 2021, 22, and 23, and in 2021, MLB ERA leader in earned run average, 2021 NL strikeouts leader for total strikeouts, and holds an MLB record of 58 strikeouts before allowing his first walk in 2021. Even had a combined no-hitter thrown with Milwaukee in 2021. This is the resume of a frontline, proven, durable ace. So how is his recent performance window from 2021 to 2025? Well, let's take a look at some of the numbers from his breakout. 2021, a 2.43 earned run average, a .94 walks plus hits per innings pitched. So that's talking about the whip. A 234 strikeouts. Wins the Cy Young Award in 2022 with a 2.94 ERA, 243 strikes, below the league average walk rate, and one of MLB's best right-handers. In 2023, he had a 3.39 ERA, 1.07 whip, and 200-plus innings pitched. He has proven durability in 2024 with the Orioles, a 3.07 ERA, 195 strikeouts, a fielding independent pitching of 310, elite again with AL hitters. In 2025, just even gets better, a 300 ERA, a 190 to 200 innings pitched, 195 to 205 strikeouts. I mean, there is zero drop-off in Burnes' profile. Taking a look at why teams love him, taking a look at some of his advanced metrics, I mean, he is one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. He has 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, which is elite. 2.5 walks per 9 innings, which is excellent. 4.8 to 6 walks to strikeouts in peak years. He has a 3.00 fielding independent pitching, which is elite. And his expected fielding independence is elite at 3.10. I mean, he has a hard hit percentage allowed 30.1%, which is top tier. Barrel percent allowed 4 to 5%, which is outstanding. His swing and miss rate is about 32%, which is elite. He's not just lucky or defense dependent. Burnes succeeds based on reputable skills. In his pitching arsenal, he has a mix of one of the most advanced in the sport. He has a cutter that goes about 95 to 96 miles per hour. That's his money pitch. He has one of the best cutters in baseball, has that late, sharp movement, tons of weak contact by batters. He also throws a curveball around 82 to 84 miles per hour. Elite vertical drop on that curveball, high spin rate, and ranked one of the top 5 curveballs in Major League Baseball. I mean, he continues on with a slider, an 87 to 89 mile per hour slider. It is late, has a tight tilt, devastating to the righties, and a sinker that goes 95 to 97 miles per hour, induces soft contact, dominates the bottom of the zone. A changeup, 88 miles per hour, when used selectively, very effective when tunneled. This is ace level stuff from top to bottom. All right, let's talk about contract projection. Well, he'll command one of the richest contracts for a pitcher in Major League Baseball history. Projected deal is 7 years, $200 million to $220 million, possibly even an 8-year option with $240 million. Teams expected to pursue him, of course. No surprise here when you hear Dodgers, Yankees, you got the Orioles, Cubs, Giants, Cardinals. There will be a bidding war for Burnes. Would he work for us in Anaheim? Well, let's take a look. The ballpark fit, excellent. Angel Stadium is friendly to pitchers who limit home runs, command the zone, generate weak contact. Burnes excels on all of these. Good rotation fit. I mean, he'll instantly become our starting pitcher slot day one. Pitching, leadoff pitcher to lead the rotations, day one. It's exciting to even think about having that opportunity, that possibility. Budget fit, well, yeah, it does push the Angels right up against or even the competitive balance tax, but the Angels have room before they get hit with major penalties. He would be a franchise fit. He gives the Angels credibility once again. He makes the rotation respectable, and he sends a signal that the Angels are done in rebuilding. The pros of signing Burnes, he is a legit ace. Cy Young pedigree, durable, consistent, high strikeouts and low walks. World Series contender level arm, and he fits the big A. He will elevate that starting rotation big time. Some of the cons now, well, obviously it comes down, he's expensive. Massive long-term deal, heavy innings mileage, multiple big market teams could outbid aggressively. The Angels rarely win the bidding wars, but would Artie Moreno actually do it? Well, realistically, low chance, but not impossible. It would require a philosophical shift from the Angels, a willingness to cross the luxury tax line. A long-term commitment to competing. Burnes is the ultimate statement signing, and if the Angels shock the world and land him, it becomes the biggest pitching acquisition in franchise history. Burnes is a dream target, but a true ace, a franchise changer, and the centerpiece of any team who's looking to win. And the Angels need this kind of pitcher. The question is whether they're ready to spend for it. All right. Angels fans, now we've looked into Corbin Burnes, the premier ace on the market. Let's shift to another pitcher who brings pedigree, polish, experience, and something the Angels might value even more: affordability with upside. So let's talk about Shane Bieber, former Cy Young Award winner. three-time All-Star, pitching technician, and one of the most respected command artisans in all of baseball. And for those of you wanting to know more about who is Shane Bieber, well, he was born right here in SoCal. He was born in Newport Beach, California. He basically and practically built for the Anaheim weather and West Coast baseball. He was drafted by the Cleveland Guardians in 2016, and he rose through the ranks faster than anyone expected. By 2019, he was an all-star. By 2020, he was one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. He doesn't overpower hitters with 98 miles per hour heat, but he beats them with movements, sequencing, command, and a curveball that should have physics professors confused. Talking about some of his career highlights and awards, he was the American League Cy Young Award winner in 2020, three-time All-Star 2019, 2021, and 2022. And in 2020, he was the MLB Pitching Triple Crown winner. He led the MLB in ERA, led the MLB in strikeouts, and led MLB in wins. He also led the American League in strikeouts in 2019. His career ERA is approximately 3.22. His career walks plus hits per innings pitch is about 110. And this is not a mid-rotation guy. This is a pitcher with a Cy Young in his trophy case. Now, we got to look at his injury and context of coming back, making a comeback, as in April of 2024, Bieber underwent Tommy John surgery. So because of that, 2025 is a comeback season. He's, likely going to be limited in his innings and velocity to, 2025 and 2026 projection is to be his true return to form. So this is exactly why his free agent value is much lower than his peak talent suggests, which is where the Angels come in. So the projected performance, the real return model for Tommy John recovery curves his 2025 statistical projection. But when you talk about innings pitched, could be 160 to 175, 155 to 165 in strikeouts, low 8 to high 8 strikeouts per, innings, almost 9. Walks per innings, between 2 to 2.5. Wins above replacement, his WAR average 3 to 4. Not peak Bieber, but very good Bieber. And in 2026, he could be back to all-star form. Taking a look at some of the advanced metrics at peaks and projection, his peak metrics in 2019 and 2021 were 11.8 strikeouts per inning, so almost 12, which is really elite. Out of walks per innings, he had 2, which is excellent. Strikeouts to walk ratio, which is 6, which ranks him elite. And fielding independent pitching at the elite side at 2.90. His expected fielding percentage would be 3.02, and his whiff rate 26 to 28%. Hard hits allowed 36 to 38%, ground ball rate about 48%, and average exit velocity allowed 87 to 88 miles per hour. Still extremely effective. Now, looking at his arsenal of pitches, we call it the science of Bieber. He's a master of tunneling and command. He has a four-seam fastball that's about 92 to 94 miles per hour, which sets up his off-speed. Excellent command in the zone. He has a cutter, creates weak contact by batters. It's effective versus left-hand hitters. Has that nasty curveball, 80 to 83 miles an hour. That's his signature pitch. Elite spin rates on it. Whiff rates near 50% in peak years. Also throws a slider, which is a wipeout pitch when tunneled off the fastball. And he does have the changeup. When used sparingly, it is extremely effective. And with the slight reduced velo post Tommy John, the movement and sequencing make him dangerous. Now we look at his contract and you say, let's see what's possibly, he could be asking for. Well, because of the Tommy John surgery, Bieber will not command ace money in this cycle. Projected contract 2 years, 36 to 44 million, or even 3 years, 57 to 65 million, with possible incentives and vesting options. And this is perfect for a team needing pitching with limited risks. So this is why he makes perfect sense for us in Anaheim. The ballpark fit is excellent. The Big A suppresses home runs. Great for a pitcher getting his command back post Tommy John. He's also very affordable, so he's going to fit the budget as he will not push the Angels into luxury tax danger. And you could sign Bieber and a big arm, or Bieber and two relievers, or Bieber and a bat, all comfortably under the CBT thresholds. Ideally, he fits the rotation. He fits strong as a number 2 slot in the rotation. And if he returns in bounce back perennial form, he can go back to being your starting number 1. The Angels can get him under market value and get peak value in 2026. This is exactly the kind of signing that winning teams make. So the pros for Bieber: he's a former Cy Young Award winner, has elite command and pitchability. He's affordable, low risks and high rewards, a perfect comeback project in a pitcher's park. He fits the Angels' timeline, veteran present and leadership. Now, of course, you're saying, Anthony, here's some of the cons. Tommy John recovery is unknown. We don't know if lower strikeout numbers are going to happen. There could be a slight velo drop and not a true ace in year 1 back, and we're going to require patience from him. And well, the other question is, would Artie Moreno do it? Well, yeah. This is exactly the type of pitcher the Angels have signed in the past. Affordable, high upside, short-term deal, name recognition, marketable. Unlike Burnes, this is absolutely feasible. I'd put this at a 70% chance if the Angels want pitching. So that's Shane Bieber, a smart, strategic, upside-driven signing that the Angels can actually afford. If they want to rebuild the rotation fast, the formula is simple. You get one big ace plus one Bieber level value signing, and you get a real MLB pitching staff. All right, now let's talk about the big Angels trade that just dropped and what it means for the rest of the offseason. Well, the Los Angeles Angels have officially traded outfielder Taylor Ward to the Baltimore Orioles. And in return, the Angels received right-handed pitcher Grayson Rodriguez. Let me say that again so it sinks in. Taylor Ward to Baltimore, Grayson Rodriguez to our Angels. This is exactly the kind of move Angels fans have been begging for. A legitimate investment into starting pitching. So let's break it all down. If you don't follow the Orioles closely, here's what to know. He was a former top 10 prospect in all of baseball. Rodriguez was one of the highest rated pitching prospects of the last decade. He's 26 years old and has electric stuff. Big build, big velo, big upside. And when he's healthy, he profiles as a front-line starter. However, Rodriguez missed all of 2025 due to a combination of elbow, lat, and shoulder issues, and that's why Baltimore was willing to move him. But make no mistake, Angels fans, this is a high upside, high reward pitching acquisition. The Angels didn't just acquire a pitcher. They acquired someone who, if he returns to full form, can become one of the best pitchers on the staff immediately. And here's what the Angels gave up in Taylor Ward. Well, Ward will be 32 years old next month, coming off the best season of his career with 36 home runs, 103 runs batted in, 157 games played, a career high, solid on-base numbers, reliable everyday corner outfielder, a fantastic year, and honestly, his trade value will never be higher than it is right now. So given his age, contract situation, and the Angels roster needs, this is exactly the type of player you trade in a retooling phase. It does hurt to lose him, but this is a smart baseball move. As we look at the roster impact, it was a necessary move because one thing a lot of people don't realize is that the Angels had a logjam of corner outfielders. Mike Trout, no longer a full-time center fielder. Joe Adell, out of options and needing everyday at-bats. Jorge Soler, best as a left fielder. And Taylor Ward, also a corner-only profile. That's 4 guys for 2 spots. This trade untangles the mess. Trout can stay in a corner, better for his health. Adele gets real playing time, and Soler rotates between left field and DH without blocking anyone. While the Angels now have a clear need for a true center fielder, this is good roster construction. So here's the strategic angle and why this trade matters. So let's talk about the big picture. The Angels pitching staff has become a weakness for years. Fans are tired of watching bullpen days, openers of 4.90 plus ERAs, lack of innings, and consistent rotating AAA arms. This trade tells us something important. The front office is serious about fixing pitching, and not with bargain bin scrap arms, not with journeymen, not with one-year patchwork deals, but by trading a productive everyday player to acquire a potential frontline starter with years of control. That's the first time in a long time the Angels have made a move like this. So what does this do for our free agency implications? And this changes everything, really. Here's when it gets really interesting. The trade does not replace the need for a top starting pitcher. It adds to the foundation. It does not replace the plan. The Angels are still expected to pursue at least one major starter. Could it be Corbin Burnes, Framber Valdez, Dylan Cease, Shane Bieber? It also gives the Angels leverage in free agency. They don't have to overpay out of desperation now. They can negotiate from stability. It also signals to agents and players, come to Anaheim. We're building a real rotation. Now, the upside could be an absolute steal here. If Rodriguez returns to his pre-injury form with the upper 90s fastball, wipeout slider, a strikeout machine, inning eater, ace potential, this trade becomes a home run for the Angels. After all, Ward is great, but pitchers like Rodriguez are hard to find and harder to acquire. Now, looking at the risks, let's be honest and not sugarcoat it. This trade does come with risks. Rodriguez missed all of 2025 with multiple injuries. It's unclear how quickly he returns to form. Ward was one of the Angels' few steady producers. This is a bet, but a calculated one. But still, it's a bet. And honestly, it's kind of bet winning teams make. Now, how does this trade fit the Angels' new identity? So if we zoom out, this trade tells us a lot. The Angels are finally prioritizing pitching. The Angels are looking for youth plus upside plus control. The Angels cleared a roster logjam, and the Angels are preparing to sign or trade for more pitching. Now the Angels must add a center fielder, and yes, this makes the team more competitive in free agency, not less. The Angels aren't standing still. They're building a plan, and Grayson Rodriguez is a big piece of that puzzle. All right, Angels fans, that wraps up the big trade breakdown. A lot to digest there with pitching upgrades, roster reshaping, free agency ripple effects. And honestly, this is one of the most interesting moves the Angels have made in years. And speaking of interesting, it's now time for my favorite part of the show, because that's where you guys always bring the heat. You bring the passion, the humor, the frustration, the hope, and every single time your comments feel like one big group of Angels fans sitting at a table together, talking baseball over a cold drink. So let's jump into viewer comments, and thank you to everyone who dropped comments on the last video. As long as we keep things respectful, fun, and Angels family friendly, this is what makes the show special. All right, let's pull up the first comment, and our first comment says, we will take Bellinger. And that's from @Tecos32. And oh man, Tecos32 coming in hot with belly love. And honestly, I'm right there with you. Look, Cody Bellinger checks a lot of the boxes for the Angels. He can play center field, which he desperately is needed after the Taylor Ward trade cleared the corner outfield logjam. He also brings power, defense, and athleticism. And yes, as a left-handed bat in the middle of this lineup, it would look beautiful at the Big A. He's streaky, he's unpredictable, he can make you pull your hair out one month and jump out of your seat the next, but man, he changes the dynamic instantly. And plus, with this team shifting toward pitching and defense, Bellinger in center field makes a ton of sense. So yeah, man, I am with you, brother. If Belly wants to come to Anaheim, we'll take him in too. All right, let's go to our second comment. And comment says, logical speak about Angels baseball, subscribed. And that's from Kevin Joseph, 3183. And Kevin Joseph, 3183, thank you, man. Seriously, that means a lot. That's exactly why I'm doing this and trying to bring this Angels Latest community together, to keep it logical, keep it real, but keep it fun and talk Halos baseball the same way we talk about it sitting around with our buddies. There's no clickbait, no nonsense, no yelling into the mic, just actual baseball conversation with actual Angels fans. So thank you for your subscription. Glad to have you in the Halos Latest crew. Let's keep building this thing together, all of us. All right, let's take a look at our next comment from SoCal Beachcomber 9811. And he says, even considering the family connection, I can't imagine Bo Bichette choosing the Angels. No playoff wins since 2009, overstaying with his buddy Vlad Jr. on a team coming off a World Series appearance. Well, at SoCal Beachcomber 9811, this is a great comment and honestly exactly the debate Angels fans should be having. Look, you're absolutely right. Bo Bichette leaving a winning situation with one of his best friends, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., on a team fresh off a deep postseason run, it's a tough sell. And you don't sugarcoat that. Winning matters, culture matters, continuity matters. Now, here's what also matters: opportunity, money, and role. And that's where the Angels could still make things interesting, because the Angels can offer something Toronto might not: a chance to be the guy, the centerpiece, the franchise shortstop in a major market. And in the family connection with Dante Bichette and the fact that young stars today are way more open to choosing their own path, it's not possible, or it's not impossible, rather. Unlikely, sure, but not impossible. Plus, let's be real, baseball changes fast. Teams go from dead in the water to surprise postseason team all the time. If the Angels add pitching, add a couple bats, and the young core takes a step forward, suddenly it's not a far-fetched thought. But your point stands. The Angels won't land players like Bichette unless they start winning again. Really, that's the root of everything. Great comment again, and appreciate you bringing real baseball logic into the chat. All right, well, Angels fans, that wraps up another awesome round of viewer comments. And seriously, back and forth, the debate, the humor, the passion, this is what makes this community special. We can talk Halos baseball like we're all sitting around the backyard table, cold drinks in hand, arguing about lineups, rotation, and free agent dreams, but always keeping it respectful and most of all, fun. So thank you again to every single one of you who drops a comment, a question, a correction, or a hot take. Keep them coming. They make the show better every day. Now, before we close things out, I want to remind you of one thing. This offseason is far from over, really basically just started, and the Angels just pulled off a major trade. Free agency is heating up. Pitching targets are still out there, and every move shifts the landscape just a little bit more. So if you've got thoughts about Corbin Burnes, Shane Bieber, the Taylor Ward trade, or who you want the Angels to go after next, let me know in the comments, and we'll feature more of your takes on the next episode. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and wrap this show up. All right, Angel fans, so that's going to do it. And for today's episode of Angels Latest, as always, thank you so much for watching, for supporting the show, and for being part of this growing Halos community. Whether you've been with the Angels since the 80s like me, or jumped on during the Trout era, or brand new to the Halo family, this is your space to talk baseball. Dream big, debate respectfully, and ride this off-season roller coaster together. If you've enjoyed today's breakdown, do me a huge favor, please. Hit that like button. Make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. We've got more free agent deep dives coming, more trade reactions, more pitching breakdowns, and more of your comments featured on the show. This offseason again is far from over, and the Angels still have lots of moves to make. So stick with us, and we will provide you with every trade rumor, every report, every roster shakeup, all the way into spring training. And hey, whether you're feeling optimistic, skeptical, or somewhere in between, we're all Angels fans at the end of the day, and we're all hoping for the same thing: a winning team back at the Big A. All right, everyone, take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, go Halos!